Ever wondered which American war is the most interesting to learn about? Well, buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into the annals of history to rank each American war based on how captivating they are to research. It's a wild ride, folks, so brace yourselves. Now, coming in hot at the top of our list is none other than World War II. You might be thinking, of course it's World War II. It's got all the elements of a Hollywood blockbuster. And you'd be right. It's the drama, the alliances, the sheer global scale of it all that makes it such a fascinating study. Not to mention, it's the only war with a sequel. Talk about a plot twist. World War II is like the Avengers, endgame of wars. It's got everything. But as with any good movie marathon, there's more to the story. No doubt World War II was a blockbuster, but what about the other wars? What makes a war revolutionary? Let's dive into the second most interesting war. The Revolutionary War, a battle of colonial rebellion against British rule, was undeniably unique. The seeds of democracy were sown in this fertile period, and the world witnessed the birth of a new nation, the United States of America. This war was less about the battlefield and more about the ideas that shaped our modern world. Concepts of liberty, self-governance, and human rights were nurtured here, making it a treasure trove for research and learning. This war was not just about muskets and bayonets, it was about the quill and parchment, the words that ignited the spirit of revolution. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights were the weapons that truly won the war. Moving to the global stage, the Revolutionary War had profound implications. It sparked a wave of revolutions around the globe, inspiring the French Revolution and influencing the Latin American wars of independence. It was the beacon that lighted the path to democracy for many nations. Now, let's transition to the third war on our list, the Great War, also known as World War I. A war that engulfed the world. It was a conflict of unprecedented scale and devastation. It was a war of firsts, the first use of chemical weapons, the first widespread deployment of machine guns, and the first introduction of tanks and aircraft into warfare. World War I was a turning point in global politics and warfare. It led to the fall of empires, the reshuffling of world powers, and the birth of new nations. It was a war that changed the world, and its lessons continue to resonate today. However, it's the human stories that make World War I so compelling. The tales of bravery, camaraderie, and sacrifice provide a deeper understanding of the human condition during times of immense struggle. These stories offer a rich vein of research material, making World War I third on our list. So, we've covered the top three, but hold on, there's more. Ever heard of a war named after a year? Welcome to the War of 1812. Now, this isn't just a war that someone forgot to name properly. The War of 1812 is a fascinating chapter in the American history books. Picture this. The United States, a young nation, decides to go toe-to-toe with the British Empire, the reigning world heavyweight champion. It's like an underdog sports movie, but with a lot more muskets and cannon fire. This war gave us some unforgettable moments. Who can forget the Battle of New Orleans, where Andrew Jackson and his ragtag group of fighters took on the British Army? Or the burning of Washington, D.C., where the Brits practically set every official building on fire, including the White House? Talk about a hot seat for the president. But why does it rank fourth? Well, the War of 1812 is like the middle child of American wars. It's often overshadowed by its older siblings, the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. But it's a critical part of our nation's growth, showing the world that we meant business. It's the war that gave us our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. So next time you're at a baseball game, you can thank the War of 1812 for that rousing sing-along. Moving on, we have the Mexican-American War. This war was a bit like a heated property dispute, except the property was Texas and California, and the dispute involved a lot of soldiers. It's a war that expanded the borders of the United States, but it also sowed the seeds of conflict over slavery, setting the stage for the Civil War. And speaking of the Civil War, it's next on our list. This war is like a family feud on a national scale, with brother fighting against brother. It was a brutal and bloody conflict, but it led to the abolition of slavery, a monumental step towards equality. It's a war that continues to shape the nation, a testament to its enduring significance. And that wraps up our mid-tier wars. Let's head to the lower half of the list. Scene script, let's get into some wars you might not have heard much about. First off, we have the Spanish-American War, a conflict that erupted in 1898 and lasted a mere 3 months. Though short-lived, it was pivotal in shaping the United States as a global power. The US came out victorious, gaining control over Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. It's a war that's often overlooked in history books, but it's an interesting one to research, particularly if you're curious about America's colonial ambitions. Next on our list is the Korean War, which spanned from 1950 to 1953. This war was a product of the Cold War tensions, with the United States and United Nations forces supporting South Korea, and China and the Soviet Union backing North Korea. The Korean War is noted for introducing the world to the concept of a limited war, where the combating powers do not expend all of their resources. Though it ended in a stalemate, it's fascinating to delve into, especially if you're interested in military strategies and international politics. Last but not least for this segment, we have the Vietnam War. This conflict raged on from 1955 to 1975 and was a significant episode of the Cold War. The US intervention in Vietnam was controversial and sparked widespread protests back home. The war was marked by guerrilla warfare, political complexities, and a heavy human cost. It's a war that offers a wealth of knowledge about the socio-political climate of the era, the anti-war movement, and the transformation of American foreign policy. Each of these wars, the Spanish-American War, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War, have their unique aspects and complexities, which make them intriguing to research. They might not be the first ones that come to mind when thinking of American military history, but they certainly have their fair share of lessons and stories. Well, these wars definitely gave us a lot to think about. And now, for our final contenders in the list of American wars. Let's first dive into the Gulf War, a whirlwind of oil, alliances, and desert storms. This conflict, spanning from 1990 to 1991, is intriguing due to its short duration yet profound global impact. It's a war that truly highlights the intricacies of international politics and energy economics. Next, we move to the Iraq War, a contentious chapter in the early 21st century. This conflict offers lessons on intelligence, power dynamics, and the consequences of intervention. It's an exploration into the complexities of modern warfare. Finally, we arrive at the ongoing war in Afghanistan. This war, presenting a labyrinth of insurgency, counterinsurgency, and nation-building, is a treasure trove for those interested in understanding the challenges of contemporary conflict resolution. And there you have it, folks, the definitive ranking of American wars by their research value and interestingness.